Welcome to Preeminent Test Prep. Today I'll be taking you through the Math Calculator section of SAT Practice Test 7. I'll be moving efficiently and quickly through this section to give you an idea of how you can improve your speed while maintaining accuracy on the SAT Math Calculator section. So make sure to subscribe to our channel and let's go ahead and get started. Alright, question 1. Feeding information for boarded pets. The table above shows the kind of foods that are fed to the cats and dogs currently boarded at a pet care facility. What fraction of the dogs are fed only dry food? Well, here we have fed only dry food. Here we have dogs. So we're going to have 2 out of our total number of dogs, which will be 2 over 25, and that'll be answer choice B. Question 2. Which of the following expressions is equivalent to the one above? Well, I have x squared, and then I have minus negative 3x squared, which turns this into a plus. So I'll have x squared plus 3x squared, which gives me 4x squared. And then I have a negative 3 minus 5. Negative 3 minus 5 gives me negative 8. So I'll have 4x squared minus 8, which will be answer choice A. Alright, question 3. A certain package requires 3 centimeters of tape to be closed securely. What is the maximum number of packages of this type that can be secured with 6 meters of tape? Well, we know 1 meter is 100 meters, so is 100 centimeters. So if we have 6 meters, we'll have 600 centimeters. And we know that 3 centimeters is the amount of tape it takes to close one package securely. So we divide by our 3 centimeters per package, right, per package. And this will give us 200 packages. So our answer is going to be C. All right, question 4. A market researcher selected 200 people at random from a group of people who indicated that they liked a certain book. The 200 people were shown a movie based on the book and then asked whether they liked or disliked the movie. Of those surveyed, 95% said they disliked the movie. Which of the following inferences can be appropriately drawn from the survey result? Choice A, at least 95% of people who go see movies will dislike the movie. No, because this is a particular subset. And then B, at least 95% of people who read books will dislike the movie. No, because this was one particular book. And then C, most people who dislike this book will like this movie. Well, we were surveying people who liked the book, so we can't say anything about the people who disliked it. And then D, most people who like this book, which is what we surveyed people who liked the book will dislike this movie. That's true because 95% of those who liked the book disliked the movie. All right, question 5. Which of the following ordered pairs XY satisfies the following inequality? Here, I'm just going to plug them in because I only have 3 different sets, and it'll be quickest to do that. So I'm going to plug in 1 and 1. 5 times 1 gives me 5 minus 3 because I have 1 for Y. Is that less than 4? Yes, because 2 is less than 4, and 5 minus 3 is 2. So 1 works. 2, I plug in 2 for 5. That's going to give me 10, or 2 for X. 5 times 2 gives me 10. I plug in 5 for Y. Negative 3 times 5 gives me minus 15, which gives me negative 5. Is negative 5 less than 4? It is. So 2 works. And now I look at my answer choices. I know 1 and 2 have to work. So I know my answer is going to be C, and I don't have to check D, or check number 3. But if I were to, right, I plug in 3 for 5, that's going to give me 3 times 5, 15. 15 minus 2 times 3, 15 minus 6, that gives me 9. 9 is not less than 4, so 3 does not work. All right, question 6. In the equation AX plus 3 squared equals 36, A is a constant. If X equals negative 3 is one solution to the equation, what is the possible value of A? All right, well, if I go ahead and square root each side, I get rid of the squared. The square root of 36 I know will be 6. Now I can go ahead and subtract 3 from each side to isolate AX. I get 6 minus 3 equals 3. So now I have 3 equals AX. I'm told that X is negative 3. I divide each side by negative 3, and I get A equals negative 1. So my answer is going to be C. All right, moving on. Question 7 is right over here. So we've got a graph here. Distance from the sun is x-axis, density is y-axis. According to the scatter plot, which of the following statements is true about the relationship between a planetoid's average distance from the sun and its density? All right, well, if I look at the graph, I see as my distance from the sun increases, right? I increase going this way. I see my density decreases as distance from the sun increases. So choice A, planetoids that are more distant from the sun, so distance increasing, tend to have lesser densities. Yes, that's the trend that I just showed you up there, so my answer is A. All right, question 8. An astronomer has discovered a new planetoid about 1.2 AU from the sun. According to the line of best fit, which of the following best approximates the density of the planetoid in grams per cubic centimeter? All right, so I'm approximating density based on the line of best fit using 1.2 AU. 1.2 AU is right here. I go up to my line of best fit, and then I go over, and I see that's going to be about 4.6 grams per centimeter cubed. So my answer is going to be C. Question 9. Based on the equation above, what is the value of ax plus b? Alright, well I see that I have 9ax plus 9b. I can factor out that 9 to go 9 times ax plus b minus 6 equals 21. I'm solving for ax plus b, so I'm going to add 6 to each side. So now I get 27 equals 9 times ax plus b. I divide each side by 9 now, and I get 27 over 9 equals the quantity ax plus b. 27 over 9, that's going to give me 3. So my answer is going to be A, 3. Alright, moving on. We've got question 10. Lainey spent 15% of her 8-hour workday in meetings. How many minutes of her workday did she spend in meetings? Alright, well 8 hours in minutes, we're going to do 8 times that 60 minutes per hour, right? So that's going to give us 480 minutes, right? And we know that 15% of that is spent in meetings. How many minutes did she spend in meetings? Well, we got to multiply that 480 by 0.15, and that's going to give us that 72. So our answer is going to be D. Question 11. A software company is selling a new game in a standard edition and a collector's edition. The box for the standard edition has a volume of 20 cubic inches, and the box for the collector's edition has a volume of 30 cubic inches. The company receives an order for 75 copies of the game. So the copies of the game is going to equal the standard plus the collector's edition, because that's the total. And the total volume of the order to be shipped is 1,870 cubic inches. Which of the following systems of equations can be used to determine the number of standard edition games S and collector's edition games C that were ordered? Alright, well, I'm looking at my answer choices, right? I see this equation here they want to manipulate. So if I look at A, 75 minus S equals C, I know that that's true because if I subtract S from each side, then I get 75 minus S is equal to C. So I know that equation is true. Now S minus C equals 75. No, we have S plus C equals 75. So we can get rid of those two because we know our total number of games ordered is 75, and that's going to equal the amount that are standard plus the amount that are collected, so S plus C. Alright, so now I look at my next equation. I was told that the volume of the collector's edition is 30, right? So I have 30C, and I was told that the volume of the standard edition is 20. So I have to have 20S plus 30C, and that is in A. So my answer there is going to be A. I can go ahead and move on because I answered all those. I got question 12. A customer paid $53 for a jacket after a 6% sales tax was added. What was the price of the jacket before the sales tax was added? Well, the price, I'm going to say P is the price before sales tax. That's getting multiplied by 1.06 because we have a 6% sales tax. That gives me 53. I divide each side by 1.06. And when I do 53 over 1.06 to get P, I get $50, which is B. Question 13. We've got Teresa's running speed versus time. I got speed in my y-axis, time versus my x-axis. Teresa ran on a treadmill for 30 minutes, and her time and speed are shown on the graph above. According to the graph, which of the following statements is not true about her run? She ran at a constant speed for 5 minutes. Well, we see that she did that right here from 5 to 10 minutes. Her speed was constant. There was no increase or decrease in slope. Or I'm sorry, the slope was flat, right? The slope was 0, which means that she ran at the speed of 7 for that whole 5 minutes. It was constant. Right, so we know that that's true, so we can get rid of that. Teresa's speed was increasing for a longer period of time than it was decreasing. All right, well, I see I increase from 0 to 5, right, which is represented by this slope going up. I see I decrease then from 10 to 20, so I go a decrease from 10 to 20, so I'll go negative 10 there. We got plus 5 here. And then I see I have an increase from 20 to 25, right, so I spend 5 minutes increasing. And then I see I decrease from 25 to 30, so I go down 5, decreasing there. I see my plus 5, my minus 5 cancel. Then I have minus 10 and plus 5, which is telling me then that she spent 5 minutes longer decreasing than increasing. So her speed was increasing for a longer period of time than it was decreasing. That is false, right? And that's what we want to find. We want to find the one that's not true because her speed was decreasing, right? It was decreasing for a longer period of time than it was increasing. So our answer there is going to be B. Alright, question 14, in the figure above, what's the value of x? Alright, well I say I've got a quadrilateral. I know the interior angles will add to 360. I've got 3 x's here, so I can call that 3x. So 360 will equal 45 plus 3x. I'm going to subtract 45 from each side. When I do that, I get 315 equals that 3x. I divide each side by 3, and I get x equals 105, so my answer is going to be 105D. Alright, question 15. If 51-cent coins were stacked on top of each other in a column, the column would be approximately 3 7/8 inches tall. At this rate, which of the following is closest to the number of 1-cent coins that would make an 8-inch tall column? Well, 3 7/8, that's about 4, right? And I look at all these answers and they're very wide range, so I can probably just use 4 as that. So if I was to want to get to 8 inches, right, then if I look at, I have 4 inches when I have 50 of the 1-cent coins, it's going to be about 100, right? And I know it's not going to be less because this is less than 4, and since it's 3 7/8, if I was using the exact, it would actually be a little bit more than 100. But I know it's not going to come close to 200 or 390, so my answer is going to be B, 100. All right, question 16. If a minus b equals 12 and b over 2 equals 10, what's the value of a plus b? Well, b over 2 equals 10. When I multiply each side by 2 to get b alone, I see that b will equal 10 times 2, which is 20. I plug that in here, right, and I get a minus 20 equals 12. I add 20 to each side, and I get a is going to equal 32, because 12 plus 20 gives me 32. Now I add the two together, and that will give me 52. So my answer is going to be D. All right, question 17. The equation above models the total cost Y in dollars that a company charges a customer to rent a truck for 1 day and drive the truck X miles. The total cost consists of a flat fee plus a charge per mile driven. When the equation is graphed in the XY plane, what does the y-intercept of the graph represent in terms of the model? My y-intercept is here. That has to be my flat fee because my x is the miles driven. So it's going to be a flat fee of $19.99 because if I drive 0 miles, I still have to pay $19.99. All right, question 18. Income and percent of total expenses spent on programs for charities in 2011. So I've got my percent of total expenses spent on programs on my y-axis, total income on my x-axis. The scattered plot above shows data for 10 charities along with the line of best fit. For the charity with the greatest percent of total expenses spent on programs, so my greatest y value, which is going to be right here, which of the following is closest to the difference between the actual percent and the percent predicted by the line of best fit? All right, so I'm looking for my difference from here to here because this is my greatest value for my y. So now I look at that, I see this is about 85 and I see this is about 92. That's going to be a difference of 92 minus 85, 7%. So my answer is going to be B. All right, move on. Question 19. I'm given two formulas. Based on current's formula, it's going to be right here. What is W in terms of A? So I'm just solving for W. I'm going to multiply each side by 30 to isolate. All right, so now I got 38, or 30 times A, not 38, 30A. Now I'm going to go ahead and subtract 4 from each side. And I get 30A minus 4 will equal W, which will be answer choice A, right? 30A minus 4 equals W. All right, moving on to question 20. If Mosteller's and Current's formula give the same estimate for A, which of the following expressions is equivalent to HW? All right, if they're both equal to A, then I can just set them equal to each other, right? Because they each equal A. So now I'll rewrite that equation over here. So I got 4 plus W over 30, and I'll go ahead and erase this just so you can see clearer. All right, so you see that? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and solve for HW. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply each side then by 60, right, to isolate HW because I'm asked for what expression is equivalent to HW. Now I see that 30 and 60, right? If I was to multiply 30 by 2, I get 60, so I can put a 2 there and just call 30 a 1. So now I've got, this is 4 plus W over 1, that's just 4 plus W, and it's that quantity then times 2. So I'll have 2 times 4 plus W, which would be answer choice C. All right, moving on, we've got question 21. We've got total protein and total fat for 8 sandwiches. Total fat's on my y-axis, total protein's on my x-axis. The scatter plot above shows the number of grams of both total protein and total fat for 8 sandwiches on a restaurant menu. The line of best fit for the data is also shown. According to the line of best fit, which of the following is closest to the predicted increase in total fat in grams for every increase of 1 gram in protein? All right, so this is just going to be my slope, right? Because it's going to be my increase, my predicted increase based on the line of best fit in total fat, so my increase in y for every 1 increase in x. So I'm just solving for my slope here. So I'm going to pick this line for my best fit at this point right here, and then I'm going to also pick this line, right? Because they're both close to a line going across for my y value. So I'm going to have 50, and then I'm going to have 20, right, for my rise. So 50 minus 20 is my rise, right? So that's going to be an increase of 30, and my run then is going to be from this 30 right here, right, going up to that 50, this 30 minus 10. And that 30 minus 10 will leave me with 20. And I know that 30 over 20 is equal to 1.5 or 3 over 2. So my answer is going to be choice C. All right, question 22, I'm given data up here. I'm going to read what it says. A survey was given to residents of all 50 states asking if they earned a bachelor's degree or higher. The results from 7 of the states are given in the table above. The median percent of residents who earned a bachelor's degree or higher for all 50 states was about 27%. What is the difference between the median percent of residents who earned a bachelor's degree or higher for these 7 states and the median for all 50 states? All right, I'm given the median for the 50 states. I have to find the median here. I see my highest value is 36, second highest 35, third highest is 30. I know there's 7 values, so I only got to get rid of 3. So now I'm looking for the next highest. My next highest will be 27, and we see my 3 lowest are all right there. I just crossed them out. So I know my median is going to be 27.9. I'm asked for the difference. 27.9 minus 26.95 is going to give me 0.95%, which is answer choice B. All right, moving on, we got question 23. A cylindrical can containing pieces of fruit is filled to the top with syrup before being sealed. The base of the can has an area of 75 centimeters squared, and the height of the can is 10 centimeters. If 110 centimeters cubed of syrup is needed to fill the can to the top, which of the following is closest to the total volume of the pieces of fruit in the can? All right, well, the base of my can is 75 centimeters squared. When I multiply that by my height of 10 centimeters, that's going to give me my total volume in the can as 750 cubic centimeters, right? That's a C there, right? Cubic centimeters. All right, and now I have 110 cubic centimeters of that is syrup, right? And the rest is going to be the volume of the pieces of fruit, the total volume of the pieces of fruit. So I take that 750, I minus the volume of that is syrup, which is 110, and that's going to give me 640 cubic centimeters as the volume from fruit. So that's going to be answer choice C. Question 24, the function above models the height and feet of an object above ground t seconds after being launched straight up in the air. What does the number 72 represent in the function? I see there's no x by that, so that's going to be my y-intercept, right? So if t was 0, right, if t was 0, right, it's yet to launch, it's at a height of 72 then still, right, because h is my height. So I know that that's going to be my initial height before it launches or is dropped or whatever. So my initial height is going to be A, which will be the value of 72. All right, so question 25, it's referring to this up here. I'm going to read it. If X food calories is equivalent to K kilojoules of the following, which best represents the relationship between X and K? All right, I'm going to put X for there. I'm going to put K here so I know. All right, just looking at this, I see 4 times about 4 is 16. 9 times about 4 is 36, 37, right? And then 4 times just about 4 will give me, once again, that 16, right? So I know that my K then is going to equal about 4 times whatever my X is. I just find the answer choice that says that. I see that I have that in B. K equals 4.2 times X, right? And that makes sense because 4.2 times 4 is going to give me 16.8, right? Which is shown here. That's just about 16.7, close enough. So my answer is going to be B. All right, question 26. Did I get all those up here? Let's just double check. Looks like I did. All right, question 26. If the 180 food calories in a granola bar come entirely from P grams of protein, F grams of fat, and C grams of carbohydrate, which of the following expresses F in terms of P and C? All right, so I'm solving for F. Well, I was told up here that of fat per 1 gram, right? So for 1 gram of fat, I get 9 calories, so it's going to be 9F, and then I'm going to have 4 calories per gram of protein and 4 calories per carbohydrate. So my equation then is that 180 calories total is going to be equal to that 9 times every gram of fat plus that 4 times every gram of protein plus that 4 times every gram of carbohydrates. I got to solve for F, so I'm going to subtract 4P and I'm going to subtract 4C from each side, get rid of all of that. Subtract 4P, I subtract 4C, so now I've got 180 minus 4P minus 4C. That's going to equal 9F, so I divide each side by 9 to isolate F. So this is all going to be divided by 9. 180 over 9 is going to give me 20. And then I'm going to have 20 minus 4/9 P, right? So I just find which one has that. So I can go ahead and see they all have 20. I see this one, there's a plus sign, and this is also plus, so that's wrong. I see I have a plus here, and this is also plus. That would give me plus 4/9 P, but I need minus, so I can get rid of that. I see these two each have minus, and then I know I also have minus 4/9 C. Well, the problem is when I look at answer choice C right here, I have negative 4/9 times negative C. That's going to give me plus 4/9 C. So I know that that's wrong, and I know my answer is going to be B, because then I have minus 4/9 P and also minus 4/9 C. All right, question 27. The world's population has grown at an average rate of 1.9% per year since 1945. There were approximately 4 billion people in the world in 1975. Which of the following functions represents the world's population in billions of people T years since 1975? All right, well, this is exponential growth, right? This isn't linear, so I can get rid of anything with linear, and it has to be exponential because each year as we add more people, we're increasing 1.9% on top of what it was the year prior. So I start with 4 billion, and I'm multiplying then by by 1.019, because that's what 1.9% is. I see that answer choice B doesn't have that. I know my answer is going to be A, and I multiply that by T years from 1975. All right, now I move on to question 28. In the xy plane above, a point is not in the xy plane above, a point not shown with coordinates st lies on the graph of the linear function f. If s and t are positive integers, what is the ratio of t to s? All right, so positive integers, I'm looking right here then. I see my y-intercept is 0, so I know that my point st, that's xy, right? So xy, and since it's linear, it doesn't really matter what point we pick, and since there's y-intercept 0. So I'm asked, what is the ratio of t to s? All right, well, if my x is my s, and my t is my y, right? So I'll go ahead and put that right here, xy. Now I've got to flip them, right, to find this ratio here, this t to s. Well, t to s then will be my y to my x. Right, that's a 2. Y to x is going to be my ratio. So I look here, I see my y is 6, and I see that my x then is 3. So it's going to be 6 over 3. 6 over 3, that's equivalent to 2 to 1. So my answer is going to be choice C. Right, and I'm just going to quick double check that st, we'll say s is 3, we'll say t is 6. Now I need t to s, that's going to be 6 to 3. 6 to 3 is the same as 2 to 1, answer is going to be C. All right, 29, a circle in the xy plane has equation x plus 3 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals 25. Which of the following points doesn't lie in the circle? You can plug all these in, that's going to take you a bit longer, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my center. So I know my standard equation for my circle is going to be x minus h squared plus y, that's a plus there, plus y minus k squared, where my centers, there's not plural centers, right, is hk, and that's going to equal my radius squared. So I know my radius is 20, I know my radius squared is 25, so I'm going to go ahead and square root 25 to get my radius, right? So I get 5 as my radius. I see that my center then, since I have plus 3 and it's supposed to be x minus h, I know that h has to be negative 3 then. All right, so I know h is negative 3, and then I know that k, right, it's already in minus, so I know my k is 1. So my center is going to be negative 3 and 1. All right, so if I look at B, that's my center, right? That's obviously going to be inside my circle. And then I look at 0, 0. Well, 0, 0, that's over 3, right? So it's over 3, and it's also down 1, right? So I got 3 squared, and then it's going to have, it doesn't matter if it's plus or negative, right? Because it's squared. It's going to be 9 plus 1, that's going to give me 10, right? 9 plus 1 gives me 10. And now when I root 10, I know that root 10 is going to be less than that radius of 5, right? So since it's less than that radius of 5, I know it's in my circle still. So I know that 0, 0 is in my circle. All right, so now I'm looking at negative 7, 3, and I'm looking at 3 and 2. Well, right off the bat, when I see 3, 2, I know that I had negative 3 as my x center, right? Well, 3, that's 6 away, right? And my radius is only 5, so I can't reach 6 away to get there. So I know, therefore, that my answer has to be D. It can't be inside the circle. Now I look at question 30. The manager of an online news service received the report above on the number of subscriptions sold by the service. The manager estimated that the percent increase from 2012 to 2013 would be double the percent increase from 2013 to 2014. All right, well, what that just means right there is that in 2013 to 2014, they had half the percent increase they did from 2012 to 2013. How many subscriptions did the manager expect would be sold in 2014? All right, well, our percent change from 2012 to 2013, we're going to use the equation new minus old over old. So our new is going to be that 5880, and our old is 5600, and that's all over our old of 5600. And then when we multiply 100, that'll give us our percent. So we take that, I see I've got 280 up top over 5600. I'm going to plug that into my calculator, 280 over 5600, and I get 0.05. I multiply by 100, I know that's 5%. All right, so we got 5% right here. That's our 5% increase. Now we know that that increase there is double what we're going to get in 2013 to 2014. So when we divide it by 2, that's going to give us our new increase, right? So now we know we increased by 2.5% from this 2013 to our 2014. So we're going to increase by 2.5%, which is the same as multiplying by 1.025. So we take that 5880 and we multiply it by 1.025, and we're going to get 6027, which is answer choice B. All right, now we can go ahead and move on to the written portion, or the free response, if you want to call it that. Question 31, in 1854, during the California gold rush, each ounce of gold was worth $20, and the largest known mass of gold found in California was worth $62,400 in that year. What was the weight in pounds of this mass? All right, in pounds, that's the key thing here. We're told it's worth $20 per ounce. We know there are 16 ounces in a pound, so we can go $20 per ounce, multiply it by that 16 ounces, and that'll give us how much it's worth per pound, and that'll be $320, right? So now I've got $320 per pound that's worth. All right, so now I can take that $320 per pound, and I can divide my total that it was worth, right? So it was worth $62,400, and I divide that by that $320 that I get per pound to give me my amount of pounds. So I plug in 62,400 divided by 320 into my calculator, and that gives me 195, so that'll be my weight in pounds, which is my answer, so 195. All right, question 32, line T is shown in the XY plane below. What is the slope of line T? All right, well, I see if I go from 5/2 to 9, right, I'm just going to use rise over run here. I see I run 9 minus 5/2, so 9 minus 2.5, which is 6.5. And I see that I rise, I go up from -2 to 3/5. Well, -2 to 0 is 2, and then 2 plus 3/5. 2 plus 3/5, 3/5 is 0.6, so that's going to give me 2.6. So I'm going to use 2.6 over 6.5 to give me my slope. And when I plug that into my calculator, 2.6 over 6.5, that's going to give me 0.4. So my answer there is going to be 0.4, right? That's my answer. Okay, so now I can go ahead and move on. Question 33. Score on a trivia game is obtained by subtracting the number of incorrect answers. I'm going to call incorrect answers I, from twice the number of correct answers, which I'm going to call C. All right, so I know my score then is going to equal my number of correct answers times 2, so 2C minus I. If a player answered 40 questions, so they answered 40 questions, we don't know if they're correct or incorrect, but we know that the sum of the correct and the incorrect equals 40. And obtain a score of 50. I'm going to replace this score here with 50 then. How many questions did the player answer correctly? All right, so I'm solving for C. I have a negative I and a plus I here, so I know if I add my equations, I can get rid of my I and solve for C immediately. So I got negative I plus I gives me 0. I got 50 plus 40 gives me 90. I got 2C plus C. That's going to give me 3C. So now I go ahead and divide each side by 3. I get 90 over 3. 90 over 3 equals C, which is equal to 30. So I know my number of correct answers is going to be 30. All right, question 34. Point C is the center of the circle above. What fraction of the area of the circle is the area of the shaded region? All right, my shaded region, it's 100 degrees. So I know that my fraction of my shaded region over the total circle, right, over the total circle's area is going to equal to my fraction of degrees, which is 100, right? My 100 degrees over the total number of degrees in the circle, which is 360. I can simplify that down and I can get 10 over 36, but that's not going to fit in your answer, like fill in, right? Because you have to get it down even more than that. So we can simplify that down to 5 over 18 by dividing 10 by 2 and dividing 36 by 2. So my answer there is going to be 5 over 18. All right, question 35. If the ordered pair above x, y satisfies the system of equations above, what is one possible value of x? All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 4 minus x equals y. I'm going to plug in this 4 minus x for y right here. So I've got 4 minus x equals x squared minus 4x plus 4. I'm going to go ahead and add x to each side, right? So I add x, and then I'm going to go ahead and subtract 4 from each side. All right, so those cancel there, leave me with 0. Subtracting 4 from each side will cancel that. So now I got x squared minus 4x, but then I've got plus x, so that gives me minus 3x. So now what I can do is I can go ahead and factor out x, right? So I get x equals 0, and then I'll get 0 equals x, x minus 3, right? So what is one possible value of x? Well, we got it right here, right? X can equal 0, so 0 will be my answer. I can quick check that. If I plug in 0 for x here, I get 4 minus 0, that's going to be 4. If I plug in 0 for x there, 0 here, I also get y equals 4. So one possible value of x is 0. Question 36, in the figure above, tangent B is equal to 3/4 if BC, so all of this is equal to 15, and DA equals 4. DA equals 4. What is the length of DE? So I'm going to call DE x. So I'm solving for x here. Well, I know tangent B. I know tangent is going to equal my opposite over my adjacent. So my opposite of angle B is going to be from A to C and also D to E, right? So I'm going to know that this has to be right? I'm going to put this down here. This does not have to be 4 right here, right? But the ratio here has to be 4 and then 3, right? Because our opposite is, or I'm sorry, our opposite is 3, right? Because it's equal to 3/4. So our opposite 3 has to be 4 of all of this, right? Or you could also look at it as there being a 3 here, right? Because the ratio of x then to BD has to be 3 to 4 as well, opposite over adjacent, right? All right, so now I see I have 15 here. That's my hypotenuse. I'm going to go ahead and square 15, and that's going to give me 225. So I know that 225 then has to equal my AC squared plus my BA squared. But I also know that BA is going to be like 4, right? And then AC is going to have to be that 3 in my ratio, right? So I'm looking for something that is going to give us this, but also that will have my A to C be a 3, where my A to, what is that? A to B is going to be 4, right? So I'm just looking for different ratios like this squared that'll give me 225. So I know that 3 and 4 are going to be way too small, right? So I'm going to look to my next multiple. My next multiple is going to be 6 and 8. I know that that's still too small because 6 is 36 and 8 is 64. That's 100, right? So I'm going to go ahead and look to my next multiple. Well, if I was to use 9 and 12, 9 squared is going to give me 81. All right, so this 9 would be right here. And that 12 squared would be 144, right? And I just got that by using my next integer multiple. Now, if I add those, that's going to give me 225, right? So I know that those are going to be my answers there. So I know 9 is going to be my AC, and I know 12, right? 12 is going to be right here, this whole value B to A. Well, D to A is 4, which means that B to D then has to be 8, because 12 minus 4 is 8. I put 8 in there, and I know that x is 3/4 of 8 because of our tangent B equals 3/4, right? So that means that my x, when I multiply 3/4 by 8, is going to be 6. So 6 is going to be DE. So my answer is going to be 6. I'm going to uncircle this so you guys don't think that that's my answer down here. All right, I'll uncircle this too. My answer is going to be 6. All right, question 37 and 38. What was the mean score of the contestants on day 1? The same 20 contestants on each of 3 days answered 5 questions in order to win a prize. Each contestant received 1 point for each correct answer. The number of contestants receiving a given score on each day is shown in the table above. What's the mean score of the contestants on day 1? All right, I'm not concerned with day 2 or day 3, just day 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in that 5 times 2, because we had 2 people get a score of 5. And that's going to be in parentheses, right? 5 times 2. And then I'm going to add parentheses 3 times 4, because 3 people got a score of 4, and then I'm going to add 3 times 4, because 4 people got a score of 3, and then I'm going to go ahead and add 2 times 6, because 6 people got a score of 2, and then I'm going to go ahead and add that 1 times 2. And I'm not going to add anything for the people who scored 0, because their score was 0. So I take that, that gives me 48. I know the total number of people who took that, right, on day 1, took that quiz or whatever, is 20. So I divide that 48 then by 20, and that's going to give me 2.4 as my answer, right? And I'll just put 2.4. I'm going to box it. That 2.4, that's equal to, I did 48 over 20. All right, now I move on. Question 38. No contestants received the same score on 2 different days. If a contestant is selected at random, what's the probability that the selected student received a score of 5 on day 2 or 3, given that the contestant received a score of 5 on one of the 3 days? All right, well, if he or she, whoever it is, received a score of 5 on one of the 3 days, right? I'm looking at this column, they scored a 5, right? And I know that I'm asked about the probability of them scoring that 5 on day 2 or 3. Well, the probability of them scoring that 5 on day 2 or 3 is going to be that 2 plus 3 over our total of 7. So the probability then will be 5/7. Thank you for watching Preeminent Test Prep. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share, as we will be releasing more videos to help you prepare for the SAT.